Hello, people of YouTube. This is Gray's Guitars. I am Steve Gray. Thank you for watching. Today, we are going to be talking about how the Fender CEO, Mr. Andy Mooney, is not very optimistic that guitars and amp supply chains struggles are going to improve anytime soon. So, what does that mean for us, the consumer, buying guitars and amps? What does that mean for the used market? What does that mean in general? So, the short answer is it means that a lot of these retailers are still going to be ordering like a year and a half in advance. So, we're talking about going into 2023 at this point. So, the 2022, nothing's really going to change. Supply and demand. 2023, we'll just kind of have to wait and see until we get there. You know, that's 2 years away at this point in time. Happy New Year. We're just barely into January, and we just don't know what's going to happen. People are still constantly buying guitars with all the different variants going around. More people are kind of staying at home again. Summer, I think that'll change a little bit because everybody wants to go out and do things during summer. But at this point in time, it seems like everybody is still kind of in that, mode where you're staying at home, you're looking for something to do. And a lot of people in that 16 to 34 age range are buying guitars. There's been a 35% increase. Before this time, there was only a 10% increase, which is still a pretty decent increase in guitars, but not as much as we've seen. Now, as I said before, in similar videos, what goes up must eventually fall down. Used market-wise, I have seen the prices go down a little bit. Not a lot, but there are some deals to be found out there. Your local Craigslist, your Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Reverb, things along those lines. There are deals out there. You just have to look a little bit harder. It's not as bad as I think it was in 2020. 2021 rather, I should say, but it's still relatively difficult to find. You're not going to find that Gibson for $200 because they're just looking to get rid of it, or that Gibson for $500, or that USA Fender that dad had under his bed for 50 years because the family's just trying to get rid of it. You're not going to find those super awesome deals, those guitars you're going to buy and never sell, because they just currently aren't there. I haven't seen any in a while. You can find something like an Epiphone Les Paul standard, a used one for $300 to $400. Nothing too bad, but you're really not going to find somebody trying to sell one of those for $200 right now. It's not going to happen. You're not going to find it unless it's the bottom of the barrel Epiphone, or the bottom of the barrel Fender Squier, PV, whatever else, if you will. So basically, you just need to buckle up. Tax season is going to be upon us soon as well for the U.S. I think, and just for most of the world in general, I'm not sure how their tax system works, but that means a lot of people are going to be blowing through their tax money that they're getting back. So what that means is in about 4 months or so, when the bills are coming in and they no longer play that instrument, they're going to be looking to sell it, and I'm going to be the guy that picks it up on the cheap because they're trying to get rid of that thing. What I noticed is the higher end instruments, I'm talking like $1,000 plus, don't really seem to be affected by this as much as, your mid-tier, your $500 to $800. It seems like those are the guitars that are always, hard to find. They're always gone. They're great. I mean, most of them are great playing instruments. You buy a guitar for $500, that thing is going to be gig ready. You might need to set up, but other than that, with some minor fixing, you'll be able to play that at a gig, no problem, on stage. No one's going to be able to tell the difference unless they are themselves a musician. So that's something to think about too. And that seems to be the range of guitars that are just really hard to find right now. My local mom and pop doesn't have them. It seems like they either have the really expensive guitars where $1,000 plus, or they have the super low end that your beginners sometimes buy but don't always buy. Your $100 to $200, your Squiers, your Lunas, your cheap acoustics, your starter kits, things along those lines. And it's not just local mom and pops, it's your Guitar Centers, As well, your big retail stores, even going online, a lot of things are out of stock. I've had people complain about, they order that $899 59 Epiphone standard, and they're back ordered for 8 months, and they're just sitting there like, I gave you my money, where's my guitar? And that for newer instruments, that's not really going to change. If you have the used gear you want to get rid of, by all means, try to sell it. The used market, a lot of people are buying things on the used market because they can't find it on the new market. So it makes sense that the used market is going to be a little bit more expensive than the new market. But as it sits right now for 2022, it's probably just going to be more of the same, maybe not to the extent of 2021, but your new instruments are still going to be hard to come by. Your used instrument prices are still going to be more expensive. Everything in general is going to be more expensive new-wise just because the materials are harder to get. Wood's harder to get and more expensive. The electronics, strings are going to stay the same. You don't really have to worry about string prices too much, I hope. But tuners, all the hardware on the guitar, all the metals, all the materials, pickups, I've seen them start getting a little bit more expensive as well as guitars. Seems like everybody in everything across the board, whether it's guitars or food or wood or toys or whatever else, everybody's increasing their prices because inflation is unfortunately just going through the roof right now. And there's shortages with pretty much everything because, we're still in a pandemic, unfortunately, and it slows the process down. So it makes everything harder for the consumer to a certain extent. I think that's where I'm pretty much going to end it. You know the drill. Just keep a lookout, as I said, your local places. That's where you're probably going to find the best deals if you're really looking for something. But if you're going for new, expect to wait a while before you get it. It is what it is. My name is Steve Gray. This is Gray's Guitars. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, leave a like. Feel free to comment down below what you want to see for future guitar and music related content. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a good one.